I'm here today with Valentina Ugolini, otherwise known as Vali. We're going to have a lovely conversation pre-Christmas about Vali's career in the charity sector. She's currently at the British Red Cross and has been for 10 years. Vali, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. If you could tell us a little bit about a recent win or project that you've been working on, what it was and how you did it and what the impact of that would be.
Yes, absolutely. So if I need to think about a win that has been going on this year, has been our Walk for Humanity series. For the first time, we had 3 walk events across the UK where we really embedded the movement of the Red Cross. So we had over 50 volunteers per event on a range of 500 up to 2,000 participants per event. And also a lot of member of staff that come in and help. But also like a very big cross marketing and cross collaboration within teams. So we had our emergency responders coming to some of the event with the emergency vehicles so kids could enjoy the day. We had our community educators coming and doing some activities for families. We had some first aiders doing some demonstrations. And we had also a retail shop that did our pop-up in one of the London events. So yeah, quite special and really amazed to see how as a movement we come together and how our supporters are embedded in everything that we do. A big win was also that happened during the anniversary of Israeli and occupied Palestinian territory. And so because of our neutrality, we ask everybody to not bring any political items during the walk. And we were overwhelmed by the nice supporters that really understood where we were coming from and supported us because of our neutrality. So it was, for me, the first time seeing it in person, the fact that, yes, you also need to work on neutrality in the UK and how actually it plays also in events that are fundraising, so not related to conflict, but they are like close to heart to our supporters.
Amazing. It sounds like a really amazing project to work on. Where were the 3 locations?
It was Manchester, London and Bristol.
You first started at the British Red Cross over 10 years ago as an intern. You're now head of regional fundraising and events, so amazing kind of growth that you've had within this organisation. What was it like being an intern in such a large organisation when you first started? Were you scared? Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, definitely scared. This was also my first job, even if it's not paid job, within the UK market. So coming from like Italy, and the mindset of Italy is completely different. And I found it scared, but also like challenged by the fact that I had to speak on the phone a lot of the time, like all days, but also like very welcomed by the people within the Red Cross. So welcomed by my team, but also my manager, really recognizing the work that I was doing. And the fact that even there was like language barriers because my English wasn't so well. We had ways of like working together that was beyond just the language, and it made it worth it.
I think the art of the phone calls is kind of dying off now. And I first started my fundraising career also on the phone and phoning supporters in a call centre. So I think like the phone still has a good place to play in terms of communicating with supporters.
But for me, it was also like trying to understand all the different accents of the UK. That was the hardest bit because I've never been exposed in Italy through the different accents.
What do you think is the hardest accent to understand?
Northern Ireland.
Scotland's quite a broad Scotland.
It's okay. They are very fast. But yes, Northern Ireland is still like challenging me sometimes. Understand what you're saying.
And what have been your top 3 learnings in this sort of journey arc, your career arc you've been on, and where do you see your career heading?
So the 3 learnings of being an intern has definitely been like having a seeking spirit. So not be afraid to ask, to find informations. If it's not you, there is somebody that will know the answer. So really like find your peers. Also relationship. This is why I'm here, regional fundraising. So relationship is very important, and really to like understand who you want to meet, but also like the overall what you want to get from the internship. So potentially you start in fundraising, but then fundraising is not yours. And so what else how can you maximize your internship through potentially some shadowing other people that are part of other department. And also, don't be afraid to fail because everybody fails. And especially like talking to senior people, I'm still afraid sometimes, but then I remind myself that they are people and just get to know them a bit better.
Fabulous. Yeah, I think like a lot of stuff I kind of read online now is about instant success and how you can kind of, start making $1 million overnight. I think there's something really kind of interesting about actually kind of working your way up and really getting to know an organization. I think a lot of that kind of instant success that we're sold is just not true. And there's always a lot of hard work that goes behind any kind of career success.
Yeah, for me, it's really relationships. So where I see myself is definitely like Red Cross for a bit longer. I have a lot of stuff that I want to achieve and that we need to change, that we need to improve. So I'm very excited about it. And then potentially maybe another charity, big charity I can think of. And I'm also interested in doing like some cross marketing, like some private sector potentially, and really bringing what is good about working in charity or like public space and into the commercial world, because they need us as we need them, but they need us.
Amazing. So lots of plans. And how did you come to live in the UK from Italy, and what drew you here?
Yes, so London has always been a key city for me. I came in 2006 just for a 3 months period with my girls, and it was amazing. One of the worst time to come because it was November to February, and I was like, why did I choose this time after all the all season? But anyway, it was like a massive experience. And then I went back home. I got a new job as a marketing and communication manager in a bank. And my husband now is an architect, and he has been offered an internship in London. Right. So he decided to move to the UK, and we were separated for a long distance relationship for 3 years. Wow. And then through my like personal development, I decided that it was actually time for me to go, and why not? So I choose London because it was here, but I choose London because of me, not because of him.
Okay, that's a really interesting story. And I love the fact that you kind of managed to do that 3-year long distance relationship as well. It's not easy to do.
No, definitely. So I'm half Italian, half San Marino. And San Marino has a bank holiday every month. So I was able to come and visit him every 6 weeks or so, apart from summer, because he was coming in summer, like not living by beach, but yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so you've already talked a little bit about failure. So Flying Cars is an innovation agency. We are constantly coaching our clients. Not everything that you do is going to work in innovation. That's goes with the territory. And we try and sort of normalize failure as something that's good and positive. It's difficult within organizations. So especially when money has been donated, they're worried that they seem to be wasting donors' money. So failure in the charity sector is a tricky area, but we like to talk about it. So what's your biggest ever? What went wrong, and what did you learn?
So I've been thinking about this because there are several, some hidden and some not. But I think one that we all agree with is a product that we developed, I would say, before COVID, so 2018, 2019, and it was about a foodie fest. So I think the insight is still very blow my mind, and potentially I will like think about this in the future and how it can work, because basically we got the insight of people but they're supporting us. Our supporters are really key on like international work, our humanitarian work abroad, and how do we bring them together and really experiencing what it looks like to maybe these countries. So we have created like some recipes, and it was very well thought of, like countries that we're working in. And then it got to our freebie website, because like a lot of the recipes were from countries that they use a lot of spices. We're giving spices for free. So you could register, you get your like kit with the spices in. And the spices got into the freebie website, and in one day we had 1,000 people requesting packs, which for us was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And we had to pause it. Right. And we review it. We tried other ways, but it wasn't working. I think also like it was super complicated because we were asking people to buy the ingredient and offer for people to come at their place, basically like hosting a dinner at their place while they were cooking. And it felt sometimes too much because we had too many recipes. Right. So it's definitely something that is still in my mind as what else we could do with that, because I'm still like thinking cooking like is a way of like gathering people together, but a massive failure in terms of like the complexity of the product. And one thing that wasn't in our risk assessment or like in our thoughts of like going to our freebie website where everybody was downloading it and asking it just to receive the spices for free.
So they literally were just giving you the data to get the free spices and they're no interest in. I always think that I've tested lots of things that haven't worked and I'm always like, I'm sure that would work if we tried it again. I'm sure there's a lot of things that you could say here, but what makes you most proud about the work of the British Red Cross?
I think it's the people and the movement. So for me, Red Cross is home as well as a new home. And I saw the work of the Red Cross in Italy during earthquake. And so there is definitely like a personal relationship with the brand, with our emblem. And in the UK, the movement of the people is still here. So despite the fact that everybody knows us for international work, we do a lot of things in the UK. And even through COVID, but also Manchester bomb, Grenfell, and through our emergency response or our refugee work in the UK, this is about community of people coming together and help. And whether it is needing for support or whether it is giving support, is about like really, really. This is also why I'm so excited about regional fundraising, because it's about like the movement, the coming together of communities. They are like getting behind diversity and including themselves through something that is bigger than them.
And so that obviously community and people is really important to you. I feel like digital gives us a lot, but it also can make us, loneliness is an epidemic now, so people are more connected than ever, but actually they feel very lonely. Do you think we still have strong community roots, or do you feel like they're being eroded away? Or?
I think there are still communities, and there will always be, because a person can't survive without a link to another human being. Whether these communities are different, I'll say yes. But I also see that community change depending on the times and depending on the age of the people. They are not the same as it was previously, potentially, where they just stay like this for the whole their life. The community changes, like even us or me. I have community in Italy still. I have my friends, I have my family. Then I come here and I got to know more communities. My kid is in primary school and then I got a new community. But there is also, I feel, as a millennium parent, and potentially I'm wrong, but there is a lot of like fear of uncertainty of this dynamic through digital and what is good, what is bad. So we're definitely more aware of the fact that we should assess the digital space a bit more than before, but also work with our kids to get like more embedded into that. But also realizing that the kids also needs to have some roots in the community where they live, because otherwise they will be lost when they are older.
What's a belief or piece of advice that you used to follow that you've now completely changed your mind about?
So I used to think, it's not a belief, but I used to think that bosses know best and we should follow their way. I really truly believe in many in body, one in mind, which is a way to say that each personality is different, but if we have a common goal, we can reach that goal no matter who we are and where we are. So it's about actually understanding that there are multiple ways of getting where you want and just deciding which one is best for the team, for the group that you are representing.
Do you think you should follow your intuition on that, or do you believe there's a power in sort of consensus decision making around managing teams and people?
I do believe in co-working. So everything needs to be decided through really clear. So I feel what is powerful is having the opportunity to have multiple opinions on whatever you are deciding. And that it needs to be opinions internally and opinion externally to make sure that you are forming the best way of like directions with the information that you have. But I think it needs to be a common goal. It can't be dictated, otherwise nobody's following you.
So unite around that common goal and then bring in different opinions on the issue.
Yeah, and also what I like sometimes is that people have different opinions. They don't realize that their opinion matters in terms of like, we can do this or we can do this. What do you want to do? Like they have choice of that they can make. And ultimately is our choice that everybody makes. But that choice could be changed anytime if we think that is not the right one.
Vali, tell me that if charity fundraising disappeared overnight as a career, what would you do the next day and the day after that?
So I would potentially take some time off and reflect on what I want to do. And in the past, I've also started or tried to start my pasta making class club, which I decided not to develop because I had kids and I didn't want to work like all weekends. But definitely cooking is a passion for me. So potentially looking into that, but also looking into more holistic, how to help people feel better. It's one of my passion. and it's whether it's through like naturopathy or like research on herbs and foods that could be helpful for your gut or like your health in general. That is what my passion is.
What's a small habit or mindset shift that's made a big difference in your life or work?
So habit is take time for myself physically. So I need to do some exercise, whether it is yoga or Pilates or some functional. I need to spend at least 1 hour per week to do that. And has been very beneficial. And then in terms of mindset is really what is the worst that could happen? And realizing that the world is not collapsing, I'm not gonna die, I'll find a way. And also like, so thinking through of the worst that can happen and actually working back and the fact that this is just a decision, it's just a time and we can make a new decision and you can speak to others about it and just go for it.
I think that's really powerful. Like the worst case scenario very seldom comes to pass. So I think that's a really powerful thing to be able to work through in your brain that actually it's probably not going to happen. Fabulous. So we're going to move into some quick fire questions now. So I've got a magic wand and you can solve one of the world's problems. God knows we've got so many problems, but you can only solve one. What would you solve?
So what I want is peace in the world. That is my number one that I'm working towards.
Fabulous. Nice and succinct, and I think lots of people will get behind that. So food has come up several times already. It's your last day on Earth. Let's not go into why. It's your last day on Earth. We're all going to have one. You've got one final meal to eat before you pass on to the other side. What would you eat?
For me, it's not about eating food. It's about with whom. So I could either decide to cook everything for everybody because I want to see everybody. So all at the same place at the same time. Or if I was restricted to a couple of people or like myself, it will be potentially going to Massimo Bottura, Osteria Francescana in Modena.
Yeah, I definitely like the sound of that. What book has had the biggest impact on your life?
Radical Candor. Recently, as a leader or new leader, really understanding how to be open and honest when you give feedback and the value that your feedback if taking into like positive, but also like frankly and personal can have and the impact that they can have in the life of others. I think sometimes we don't give enough feedback or we are not so clear what we mean about it. And we're actually losing the opportunity to develop the person that is in front of us that we've seen that they can develop, that they can do something more and potentially but they need like a clear person that says, dude, this is not your job, but I hear you, I can help you find your path, your passion, or like something else. So yes, definitely that has helped me a lot.
I think sometimes UK, British communication is not always that direct, and I think it could definitely benefit from more radical candor and being more kind of, direct in communication. So I think, good suggestion. What fundraising campaign do you wish you had worked on?
I love the UNICEF Soccer Aid for the breadth of the variety of stakeholders that it gets. I know that there are others, but I have 2 boys, so I'm surrounded by football, unfortunately. I thought I was going to be a mum of a boy that would not care about football, but they're very much. But actually looking at the football has a way of really developing team building, working together, bonding, especially for male, but for everybody is quite powerful. Yeah. We did also some football workshop and some exercise with some refugees group. And it was amazing to see how they will really football is one of the few sports that brings everybody to the ground to the same level. So it's quite powerful. Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of amazing sort of football fundraisers, Soccer Aid being one of them, but there's also this annual YouTube match between the Sidemen and Mr. Beast, which raises about £3 million. You're right, it's such a unifying sport that people can galvanise and you reach people you don't normally reach as well. Brilliant. Okay, so Soccer Aid. And finally, let's end on a food-related question. So, how did Italian food take over the world? And what's the worst example of Italian cooking you've ever seen?
I think it's because we are everywhere and we like traveling. So, also our culture, Roman Empire, I think is becoming very that. So, worst one, definitely pineapple and chicken on pizza. Yeah, they boil spaghetti with the sauce already in it and just boil all together. And I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? So I would say it's the American version of the Italian food that I'm not particularly keen on.
Yeah, the pizza on pineapple, I'm with you on that. I'm not a fan. Or chicken, it's just, yeah, it's got no place on that. Vali, that was brilliant. I really enjoyed talking to you, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.